I'm here at Unleashed, talking with Joel Cheesman
We are
and Chad
unleashed
Sowash from the
Unleashed.
Chad and Cheese podcast, of which I'm a big fan of, by the way. Guys,
Yes.
As of 4 days ago.
as of 4
Yeah.
days ago, definitely.
So
yes.
how did you
We're
find
only
out
2
about?
years late
How did you
to the
find out
party.
about us 4 days ago and then start binging us?
It's a good, oh, we're,
To be honest with
we
you-
don't even get a question in. We
No.
go right to the
Yeah,
Q&A.
I'm sorry. This is our
This is
job.
her show.
This is our job.
All right.
So how does that work?
I did an article a while ago about HR podcasts.
Okay.
And you guys are in it, of course.
Obviously.
So I'd heard about the podcast, then I saw who was speaking at Unleashed. I came across Joel in the speakers overview. I thought, these are the guys from the podcast. I contacted Joel.
Here we
He
are.
answered. I was like, oh God, they're actually going to talk to me.
So what did you learn from our podcast? Because you binged it. So you didn't
Yeah.
listen to one and go, okay, I get these guys. They're Americans and they're assholes.
They're
you
very
actually
American,
you
yes.
started binging. So what made you?
Aside from Joel's voice is like Barry White, what else did you get from the podcast?
Barry White with nails on the chalkboard. It's a good match.
That's where we hit him where it hurts.
It's a good match. Yeah.
Very
Well,
well
I mean,
on
I
track.
like that you guys just you're not being politically correct. So you just say what you think. You also say if you think something is shit or not.
Yeah.
Which I find quite refreshing.
Excellent.
Yeah,
See,
that's what I
even-
liked about it. And I
You're not-
really
you're not
like.
facing the camera.
No,
I
but
feel
I'm
like
not
we should all
supposed. We're
be-
not supposed. You're supposed to be talking to me, not to
Even
the camera.
Okay.
even across the pond, which I love, because I mean this is kind of like very, very American, where it's like we have some of these kinds of conversations, but still in HR, everything is so straight laced and it's so
Yes.
fluffy, and there's
Yeah.
and there's so much bullshit.
Yeah.
So we did a podcast like 10 years ago, before the mobile phone, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
So who was listening back then?
Really nobody.
Yeah, it was the embed on blogs. Like you could argue podcasts are the new blogs, but back then it was embed code on your blog.
Okay.
And there were podcasts, but everyone had iPods and like
course,
classical
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
So it
on your
wasn't
desktop computer.
not nearly as
listening.
dynamic
Yeah.
as it is today.
Yeah.
Or-
And the whole idea behind it, even way back when, was two guys at a bar, at a conference. What would they talk about? Because they'd have a few beers in them. They wouldn't bullshit, and it would be straight. So
Yeah.
that's what we did, and people love it in the U.S., in the UK.
The global
in the
global
EU.
adoption is
Everybody loves
crazy.
it. Man. Yeah,
I didn't
South
expect
Africa,
that. And
Australia.
I think part of it is we have 20 years experience going to expo halls and shows and talking to vendors. So
Building
you
shit.
can't just do that. You can't just start a podcast and have that kind of experience. And I think we've heard more times than not that the chemistry is there.
Yes.
And he and I work really well together. Yeah, it's love it.
So I mean, that's
First
good.
time.
Let's continue on that then. So you got 20 years experience each, so that's a lot of experience combined.
Whoa,
You've
that's what
seen
you're
a
saying.
lot of things. No, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm young.
You've seen a lot of things, of course, in the recruitment business since. A lot of good stuff, I hope, and probably a lot of not so good stuff as well. What are the, let's say, 3 most promising things, developments that you've seen in recruitment?
So let's talk about today what
Yeah.
we're going to see in the future. Are you looking for companies or trends?
Yeah,
Trends is probably the
technologies,
better.
yeah, trends,
Yeah, I mean,
technologies. Is it programmatic, for example, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, what's trending now, and you agree or disagree, I mean, it's automation, right? It's like how do I take my 24 hours in a day and get as much out of that as possible, right? And the tools that will help you do that, whether it be chatbots to help streamline the interview process, whether it's programmatic that says, hey, I've got a job, let the robots figure out the best place to put it and what the budget should be, and all that good stuff. And then I guess outside of that, AI and what that means to people is different. Vendors, it's different. We're not, it's sort of like SEO in 2004. Like we know it's going to be a thing, but what is it? And so those are the trends certainly that I see. And I think when I look at the startup pavilion, I see so many companies, instead of saving time or giving employers or recruiters back their day, they're making work for them, right? Like, implement this survey where your employees have to do more work, and then you have to do more work to analyze the survey that you've made them do. So creating work is not a good business strategy. You should be saving people time.
Well, okay, so, and I think it was funny because one of the panels we just heard, one of the guys says, he said process automation's big, efficiencies are big, which is why he didn't understand like matching. And from that standpoint, it just told me he didn't know what the hell matching was about, because that is a huge process automation from a sourcing standpoint. That should cut. So I think there's a couple of different problems that we have. First and foremost, startups don't even know what the hell they're doing. They don't know the problem they're trying to solve, and they are very badly articulating what they're trying to do, right? And then on the other side, talent acquisition, they don't have time to be able to really learn something complex. And if you're trying to sell something complex and you're not trying to save time, get the hell out of my office, right? So those are the things that you really have to focus on. Take a look back a few years, big data was like the big thing. We didn't have the processing to be able to chunk into that big data to make anything out of it like that. Today we do. That's what machine learning, AI, RPA, that's what all that's about. But don't worry about those acronyms, right? Don't worry about that. Worry about what problem is being solved and understand what your actual problem is. Yeah. Talent acquisition's looking for, I need a chat bot. I need matching. I need this. Why? Yeah. What problem are you trying to solve?
I think on top of that, the trend that we're seeing is, can you create a one-stop shop for all that stuff, right? So, one, if you're a startup and you're not looking at integrating with a system, you're probably screwed, right? Yeah. Like you need to be integrated into an ATS or some format where they can easily access all of your stuff. But then trend-wise, also I'd add that everyone is trying to be that one-stop shop. So you see acquisitions in our space like JobBite, buying 3 startups around messaging and referral systems. Yep. Obviously, you see LinkedIn and Microsoft trying to be the one-stop shop. You see iSIMS buying TextRecruit and Jive recently to try to be that one platform. So we're sort of seeing really big stuff on the high end, and then this little stuff. And the idea is hopefully that you're integrating with this big stuff, so you're featuring that as opposed to trying to survive the jungle on your own. Yeah,
if you're the little guy and you are not integrating with these big systems, these big core systems, then you're wasting your time, because what's happening is that you're asking recruiters to open up all these different tabs to be able to play, tab games. Yeah. Oh, what tab did I need to go to for this? Everything should be all in that one system. Yeah. And that company, so let's say, for instance, that applicant tracking system doesn't have to own that company, but if you are doing your job really well, more than likely they're going to acquire you. Yeah. Right? So, that's like the recipe that we've seen.
Yeah. Yep. One of the other things that you guys seem to be talking about regularly, with my recent experience of listening to your podcast, is the marketing on the one end and recruitment, HR on the other end, and then in terms of the brand and
cult brand.
Exactly. Okay. So please do tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the catalyst for that was we attended a conference called The Gathering last year, and most of people in our industry won't know what that is, but it's the top, definitely one of the top, if not the top marketing conferences in the world according to Forbes. And we were sitting there listening to CEOs from really big, well-known corporations, and they all preached people. People are our greatest asset. Our brand starts with people. Our employees are the
and this has nothing to do with employer-centric stuff, right? It's all marketing and brand.
Yeah. And then when you get them in an interview or talk to them, like there's a huge disconnect between what you're telling us on stage and what you guys are actually doing with recruitment. And we heard a lot of talk, but not a lot of walk. So Chad and I thought, how can we take what we know in recruiting, our relationship with The Gathering, and get CMOs at really great, well-known companies and start talking about brand and how employment plays into that and how it's all sort of one thing together, because right now they're not. And if we can try to be a bridge to that, I think that's a good thing that we can do for the industry and our listeners.
Yeah, our panel today had Adam Yearsley from Red Bull, had Chris Ray from Sainsbury's, and Brandy Ellis from Smashfly. We're in the gear. It was that, again, that was all to be able to come to an event like this and really challenge organizations to think much differently. I mean, we're so focused on employer brand, where we're not thinking of the holistic experience, because that candidate, in many cases, not all, but in many cases, is a customer.
Yeah.
And if you have a shitty experience, I'm going to stop buying your product. And if you're going to stop, that directly impacts in a
Definitely.
negative way the bottom line,
Yeah.
which the CEO, CFO, and COO care about.
Yeah.
Yet we're trying to get in to have conversations with them. We have to understand the conversation much better, right? And we need to bring them together to be able to talk about stats
Yeah.
and what actually matters.
So are there any things that you can share with us already? Things that you've learned from this experience, trying to bridge that gap that people shared with you?
I think that part of it is how do you provide a somewhat consumer experience with the job application process.
All right.
So we talk a lot about if it took 45 minutes to buy something on Amazon, would you ever buy anything on Amazon?
No.
However,
No.
if you want to apply to our company, settle in and get comfortable because it's going to take 45 minutes. So how do we educate the market to do that? If marketing needs to be involved, what is the experience of that? And even if the follow-up messaging around applying to our company is, hey, thanks for applying to Red Bull. We appreciate your business. Here's $1 coupon to go to your local store and get a 6-pack of Red Bull,
Or Red Bull hat or
half
something,
off,
yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like there's that disconnect between we sell stuff and we employ people. How do we bring that together?
Yeah.
That conversation needs to happen, in our opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are, and this is what I think I saw most at the gathering, at the conference,
Yeah.
was that there were organizations that understood that the engine of an organization is the people, the employees first. And if you focus on the employees, everything else happens because you have great experience outside, all the way through.
Yeah.
And that's what creates a cult brand, especially, if your employees don't believe in your product, who's going to believe in your product?
Yeah.
Who? These are people who, they get up every day.
Yeah.
If they don't have passion to go do what they're doing, then how are your customers, right?
Yeah.
So if you think of the human experience overall, your candidate, all the humans that are involved,
Yeah.
how do you create a great experience for them? And again, like the one-click buy on Amazon, how can there be a one-click apply that actually goes into a shortened version that allows a candidate to know if they're qualified against the recs or not, and if not, maybe push them through another path where there might be a job there, or maybe there's not, and just say, hey, we wish you could come work here,
Yeah.
but here's a can of Red Bull. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's the
And
experience.
the good thing is marketing, I think, wants to have the conversations, whereas it's sort of like down on HR, or HR is just this cost center that hires people. When you tell marketing, what Red Bull said they have 3 million applications a year. So that's 3 million people that could be buying Red Bull or buying into your brand or learning more
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
And once you talk to marketing about those kinds of numbers, they start saying, well, maybe we should be having conversations
Yeah.
with HR and how do we improve this process and get involved.
Yeah.
So the numbers are there from a consumer side. I just think the conversation needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where you guys come into
Hopefully.
play a little bit.
Hopefully, yeah.
In trying to take the complexity out of it,
Yeah.
because I think we as human beings try to make things complex, and we're just two dumb Americans, so we can dumb things down
Yeah.
much easier, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's the secret to our success.
Yeah.
We dumb shit down that everyone understands.
Over a couple
Not
of
bad,
years.
Yeah.
guys. Not bad. So before I let you guys go to maybe have a couple of beers, last question.
Yes.
What would you say? What are you guys most exciting about today? What's happening in the recruitment space?
This is being able to, as I said before, taking all of that data that we've harvested over the years and being able to do something with it, I think is incredibly smart, necessary, and we can do it. We have the processing power, not to mention the opportunity to take these chat bots and understand what they're actually used for, as opposed to just having a cool chat bot.
Yeah.
I think all these technologies are the most exciting part of this. Being able to go through, and probably I would say a quarter of these brands won't exist next year because they'll flame out, but the money being spent in this industry is amazing. Close to $1 billion last quarter.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that and saying, 3 years ago, Microsoft bought LinkedIn for $26 billion. $26 billion. Before that, a job board at most was worth $1 billion, $2 billion.
Indeed was one.
So like Glassdoor just sold for $1.5 billion. That sparked interest in our industry. So you'll notice Facebook is here, right? So they're getting into the space.
Yeah.
They're not here, but we talk a lot about Google and Google for Jobs and Google Search.
Uber,
right?
Yeah.
Uber works.
Yeah. Uber work.
What Slack is doing in our space is like they're here, right? What are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing here? We're gonna go talk
right?
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because of that, money's flowing in. There's more, like there are more startups. I don't want to say than ever, but maybe that are doing really cool things that are trying to piggyback on the interest in our space. That's never been there up until Microsoft writing a big ass check.
So thanks,
So
Microsoft.
it's a huge amount of fun for us right now to ride the wave of podcasts, but then ride the wave of all the money and investment that's going on in our space, as well as a great economy around the world. I mean, it's really a perfect storm to talk about it for you and for us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
And happy podcasting, I would say.
Right on.
Cheers.